Hey everybody. Today I want to talk about the term ascension, and kind of the parts of ascension that I don't really hear people talking about. I'm Jay Eaker here at the BioSoul Integration Center in Louisville, Colorado, and I want to help people feel more so that they can come into contact with their authentic selves and share their gifts on the planet. So that's what I'm doing at the BioSoul Integration Center on this YouTube channel, if that's where you're hearing me, on Instagram, on Pinterest, Twitter. What else am I on? I'm on Facebook, of course. How can you forget Facebook? If you want to follow me in all those places, please subscribe, follow, do all that stuff in all those places. It's helpful to spread this around. I'm sure it's useful to a lot of people, hopefully. So, Ascension, excuse me. So I'm trying a little bit different format, like I usually come up with an idea and I make an outline, and then I sit in front of my nice picture at my office and make a video with my fancy camera. But I thought maybe I'd try to do a video where this stuff kind of springs on me. I always feel it's like, oh, it's bubbling up, and then maybe I lose something in the translation later on, and so I thought I'd try to do it when it's bubbling up. So Ascension, recently kind of had this realization. You have these realizations when you're on the path, these insights, this sort of realization about what the work is that I'm doing. And I feel like the overarching idea is that there is this way in which we're being drawn towards our authentic selves being a version of ourselves in which we're sort of integrated, and being able to integrated, our sort of defended or survival senses of self are being integrated. Our dark stuff, our dark side, our shadow self, our pain body are integrated in such a way that we can share, embody our soul's essence and our soul's gifts, so that we can share those gifts on the planet. So that's kind of the idea, is that we're sort of being drawn towards our authentic selves. And I kind of, in the process, I'm constantly trying to find ways to tell people about these concepts. And if you want to tell people about these concepts, you kind of have to couch them. It's useful to couch these ideas in language that's already out there, search terms, things that people are already looking for. And, one of those search terms that kind of matches with that big idea of us being drawn towards our authentic selves, being drawn towards our more spiritual selves, is the term ascension. Usually that term, I don't know that I pay too much attention to that term because of the context in which I usually see it has to do with a lot of sort of new agey concepts and a new agey people. And there's nothing wrong with new agey, but I feel like new agey always has kind of a certain flavor to it, and that flavor is one in which we're, it's like talking a lot about love and light, and talking about the bliss that comes from ascension, and talks about, the psychic gifts you're gonna have. It's gonna be like everyone's gonna be, totally psychic. We're all gonna be, floating around in lotus pose, in bliss all the time. All, unicorns and rainbows all the time. And that's it. But I feel like that's largely in the mind. That's a concept, an idea that happens in the mind, and it's not really grounded in reality. The reality of ascension, the reality of getting to that place, and I'm not saying that we can't get to that place or won't get to that place. Life is drawing us in that direction, I think. But the parts of that that not a lot of people are talking about, or not a lot of people want to talk about or want to experience, is what has to happen to get there. This, it's sort of like there's two sides of the coin, and we have to sort of integrate both sides of the coin. We have to integrate the dark stuff. We have to integrate our shadow self. We have to come into relationship with that stuff. We have to integrate and feel through our pain body. These are other search terms that are out there. To get to that in the process of our ascension, in the process of being drawn towards our authentic selves. And that's not something that's something that's generally uncomfortable. It means like feeling more. It means feeling uncomfortable stuff. It means that, your life or parts of your life maybe fall apart in the process. It means that the senses of self that we've built around these survival senses of self that we've adopted along the way, it means we have to feel the reality and the pain of that and come into relationship with that and feel through that stuff on our way to ascension, our ascended selves. And so, yeah, that's uncomfortable often. Again, there are terms and things out there that I've talked about before. The pain body, which is a concept that I first heard while reading The Power of Now, I think, by Eckhart Tolle, and A New Earth, also another book by Eckhart Tolle. The pain body, according to him, is this sort of like entity in us of sorts that feeds off of pain, that feeds off of suffering, and is largely unconscious. And that's why it can run our lives, because it's sort of running in the background and controlling things in the background. We will avoid certain people and circumstances and situations to avoid feeling the pain body. And it affects our thoughts, it affects our emotions, it affects our relationships, it affects our behavior, connected with a lot of health things that show up in our bodies and things that show up in our lives emotionally, addiction and all sorts of unsavory things like that. And so it uses all of the pain and all of the suffering from those behaviors. It kind of feeds on that. That's something that we picked up from our parents, from the culture that we were born into, from just part of being human that we were born into. So in the process, and Eckhart Tolle says, in order to sort of heal the pain body, the first step is to bring your attention, have some level of attention resting in your body at all times. Bring your attention to your body and feel the sensations in your body, and the way to start is to have some level, some part of your attention resting on the sensations in your body at all times. That's kind of a thing that I learned from reading one of his books that sort of was very transformational, started me off on a journey, quite a journey. And that led me down the road of mindfulness meditation and all sorts of things. But because when you bring your attention, when you have your attention on the sensations in your body, when you have your attention on the sensation of pain, or the sensation of the icky emotions, things like grief, or things like anger, or things like fear, or things like neediness, or things like, just different things like that, uncomfortable emotions. If you have your attention on the sensation, it's like the pain body can't, because it largely runs your life through your mind, through your mind and through your thoughts, controls your behavior that way. And if you have every second that you have your attention resting on the sensations of those things, it can't run the show. You're being present. You're being present. You're in the present moment when that's the case, and the pain body can't run the show. And so that's how to move towards healing. And that's, in the process of ascension, again, we're going to be drawn through our pain body. And so that's how you deal with that when it inevitably comes up. Bring your attention to the sensations of the icky stuff that comes up as a result. And then a shadow self, that's kind of another term that is, kind of related to in this world, this world of ascension, that, we're going to be drawn towards our shadow self and our shadow material. Again, was it Carl Jung? He coined that term, I think, saying that, those are just our shadow self is just repressed parts of ourselves that we are pushing away, that we learn to push away along the line. And in the process of your ascension, in the process of life drawing you towards your authentic self and integrating your soul's essence and your soul's gifts, you're naturally gonna kind of be extruded through your shadow self. And in the process, that stuff kind of it comes to the surface. It comes into consciousness, and it's got to be felt in order for that to happen. So there's this sense of this thing about ascension. Again, we got to come into relationship with the dark stuff. It's not all about rainbows and unicorns and bliss, and although there is that, but often in order to get there, you gotta go through some hard stuff. And I also, I think of when I was growing up, I was raised in a sort of conservative Christian household, and we studied the Bible in school. I went to a private Lutheran grade school where we studied the Bible a lot and memorized large chunks of it. And so, Jesus was a big part of my, my life at that point, and certain ideas about Jesus and what that meant. But I sort of think of, Jesus suffered and died on the cross, and I don't know if it's a passage or whatever, but it's a thing that I've memorized. And after he died, he descended into hell. And on the third day, he rose again from the dead, and he ascended into heaven. And what I was always taught, and I don't know if it, what it says exactly in the Bible, but what I was always taught was that, when Jesus died, he descended into hell, and it was like, he marched down there to proclaim victory, his victory over sin to Satan. He marched down there and proclaimed victory. But I kind of doubt that's actually true. I think what happened is that he had to descend into the depths of hell, and he had to, face the root of all depravity and darkness and despair and pain and, burning, the burning that burns away our dark stuff, our shadow selves. He had to go down there and descend into that and feel that shit completely. So I doubt it was, fun. I doubt it was him like marching in, declaring victory. He descended in hell to feel that crap. And then he was able to rise from the dead, and then he ascended into heaven after that. So even Jesus, he had to go through some hard stuff before he ascended. And I imagine that that's just the way it goes. So, yeah, I feel like my work at the BioSoul Integration Center is to help people lubricate and smooth out the natural process of the hard stuff that comes up in the process of us being drawn towards our ascension. And again, the big tool for doing that is bringing our attention to the uncomfortable stuff that's inevitably going to come up, not trusting the thoughts, connecting with the sensations, bringing presence to those sensations, which involves welcoming that stuff into our heart, actually getting our heart online and seeing it through the lens of our heart. Our heart can sort of transmute it all as we descend into that stuff. So I think that's it. Ascension, again, to recap, ascension, the process of us being, is one term that is about us being drawn towards our authentic selves being a version of ourselves in which we're integrated. Our soul's gifts and our soul's essence are integrated into our bodies, again, and in the process of that, we're going to feel we have to descend also into our shadow material, into our pain body, and feel that stuff. We have to embody that stuff. Yeah, so I don't mean to be a buzzkill or downer. However, I think this is just the facts of the matter. And if you avoid that stuff, it amounts to another search term, which is spiritual bypass. Where we sort of like hover above the dark stuff. And if you hover above the dark stuff, the ascension stuff, all the fun ideas about what it means to ascend just stay that way. They stay ideas, and it stays in our heads, and it never really amounts to an actual experience, a lived experience of that stuff. And it ends up just being us talking about it, and that's about it. Never really living it, never really experiencing it, never really changing, never really changing anything in our lives or in the lives of others. So if you like this video, wherever you see it, YouTube, Facebook, on my blog, wherever, Instagram, etc., Pinterest, please like it, share it, pass it along to those who might be interested. And I look forward to helping you express more life. I hope you like this new. I'm not saying I'm going to do this all the time, but I thought I'd try it. Like it, share it, pass it along. And I look forward to helping you express more life. Have a great day.